Now on BBC Two, the first of 4 journeys back down old roads, how time has marched on for the long-term residents of Century Road, a programme which contains some disturbing footage.
These marshes lie on the edge of the Norfolk Broads. They once spread all the way to Great Yarmouth on the tip of the East Anglian coast. In 1900, builders put up 108 new houses between the marshes and the North Sea and called them Century Road. Major events have swept through Century Road like the harsh east wind. Locals call it the lazy wind because it can't be bothered to go round you. This film is about some of those who've lived here the longest and a way of life that will vanish with them.
I couldn't walk through there. I haven't walked through there. Yeah.
No? What's that?
I don't know, it's just memories of what's been and who's been in there and how happy they were, and you know, it's all the memories what's come back.
My dear, I've got me apron. Got me apron on. Big bowl.
Can you tell me again how long you've been here?
40 years. 40 years in this house.
And who was here before you?
My mother-in-law and father-in-law. They both died.
Were they the first ones?
They were the first ones into this house. My mother-in-law and father-in-law came here after they married. They were married and came straight in.
And the house had just been built?
Yes. 1901, I think it was.
And so you were the second bride?
I'm the second bride.
And you got married quite late, didn't you?
Yes, I married late in life. Well, I was about getting on for 40. It's a bit late, isn't it?
What's the password?
Nicholas.
Hiya.
Hiya.
How you
Right.
doing? Yeah.
Have a lovely day.
Yes.
And how long have you known Ali?
Oh,
I've been here, 43 years?
yeah. We were here about a year before Ali came, so we've known each other all that while.
Yes, yes.
I've still got that heel.
And
down
yes,
there
you
at the
have,
thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Whoops. Whoa. No mistakes.
Whatever would we do without friends?
Joyce, I wanted to ask you about your father in the First World War.
Yes, well, I was born 1916 and he joined up earlier. And Mother weren't very pleased, of course. She didn't know whether he was alive or not when I was born.
Joyce Harvey's father and other local boys were sent off to France to fight in the Great War. Most of them had never ventured more than a mile or two from Century Road.
He got a bullet through one leg and that went right through and into the other, so that he was invalided out through that. But
That sounded so simple, invalided out. But when he got injured,
yeah,
there's no transport, no Red Cross.
no,
He crawled.
he crawled. I think they crawled for at least a day or more.
Over 1 million young men slaughtered each other on the Somme between July and November 1916.
Father never spoke much about it. Don't think any of them, either the First World War or the Second, really liked talking about it. Well, you don't like because it upset you so, because he see all his young mates die round him, and this last war, that was what upset him more than anything. I mean, a lot of the boys from here that were with him, weren't they?
Yeah.
Charlie Rose has lived in number 3 since 1915, when he was 3 years old.
Morning. How are you? Right, nice seeing you.
Lovely to leave you. All right, yeah. Bye, see you, Penny. Yeah, bye-bye. Thank you, Charlie.
That's all right, Sue. All a wonderful things on sharing with you. Sweet Sue. That's your name.
Does he come in every day, Sue?
Yes, he does.
And we always get a humbug and always a song.
How long have you known Charlie?
All my life. I ain't going to tell you how many years, because you know how old I am.
Wait, I'm hard up, I've got no money. Can't pay for the baby, you know, Sue.
This is the baby you're having with Sue, isn't it?
No, I'm not telling you. Oh. No, keep it quiet.
Okay.
See you later.
Yeah,
See you
bye,
later.
Charlie.
Bye-bye. Oh, Mrs. Smart. How are you, mate? You alright? Not boy today. Feel ain't we?
I wonder if you might go do these jobs for me, would you?
No, of course I won't.
Thanks so much.
Well, you've been busy
It's
figuring this.
London.
There you go. That's what's
Thank you. Would you do the next one?
No, of course I won't.
Thank you so much.
There you go. All right.
Thank you very
Thanks a
much.
lot.
Thanks so
See you
much.
later on. That's okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Miss Nora Baker has lived in number 88 since 1920, when she was 5. You were telling me about your father in the First World War. Did he join up?
No, he was a conscientious objector. And he went to prison because he didn't believe, and he wouldn't kill anyone, you know. He just disagreed with it. And they had a very bad time in the First World War, the conscientious objectors. And he was sent to prison. He went to Wormwood Scrubs, first of all. And I think he had bread and water for about 3 weeks, I think. And he was very, very cold in prison. Afterwards, he always had most terribly cold knees, you know. They said they were cards, you know, the COs, and they used to put white feathers through the door and sort of call out to them in the streets. It was very unpleasant, you know. But they had to stand up for their convictions.
And where did his convictions come from?
Well, he was, have you ever heard of an evangelist called Gypsy Smith?
No.
Haven't you? Well, he conducted a campaign in Yarmouth, And my father was saved there. He was converted, you know.
And how about you? Are you also saved, Miss Baker?
Yes, when I was a little girl, yes. And then I was baptised in the sea. Yes, with my grandmother, who was then, she was about 9, she was 76, I think, and she was baptised as well. Yes.
Do you remember when the herring season was big around here and what it used to be like?
Just before the war, the whole of the south end of the town was covered with the herring industry, the smokehouses, the fisher girls. Every fisherman at sea, there were 6 employed ashore, processing fish and salting down, packing, dispatching. And then all the harbour was full of boats, right up as far as the town hall.
For the first half of the 20th century, Great Yarmouth was the busiest herring port in the world. Families on Century Road depended on it. They called the herring silver darlings.
Hello, what's going on out here? My dad used to go to sea on a trawler, and he lost a couple of brothers. They were drowned at sea.
And your mother was involved, wasn't
Yeah, she was a beatster, mending the herring nets. They used to be, well, I suppose like a large needle, isn't it? They were only suspended on a piece of rope, weren't they? These
Nets.
nets.
Drift nets.
Just a net and the corks. There weren't a lot in them, you know. And that's like they just used to sort of make the squares up again. Quite complicated. Well, I thought it was quite complicated, but that wasn't, I suppose, when they trained up. But they were pretty good at it because that was a profession, you see.
And it was the women's job, was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Beatster. Beatster there.
It used to be abreast, didn't it? You would nearly walk across from
Well,
from
in my
one side to
mum's
the other.
day, in my mother's day, you could walk across.
Yeah,
Right
your
down the
mother's day.
river from the
Yeah.
bridge, right down to the fish wharf and beyond.
Henry Green walks up Century Road every day to visit his friend Nora.
No, I don't believe this. Are you all right, my dear?
Yes, you?
Yes. Are you all right?
What did you do?
Speat herring. With a big oily apron on and smelling like I don't know what. But I enjoyed it. And you've got a big, like a horse's trough, and then that's full of herring. Then you get them up and then you take them on like a frame, and you hang yours. And then they shut it all up and smoke them. When I come home, I used to have to change in the backyard. Take me oily off and then put on my clothes and have a wash. And then they let me indoors.
There's just something about the sea you never really learn or discover. Something you can't explain. It's there and you try to beat it. Well, they used to call me Blondie because I had a lot of fair curly hair, which is faded a bit now. Just sailed from one pub to another. And that was as much as you saw of the world.
And did people have affairs with local women when they stopped off and everything?
Every time, everywhere. Yeah, the natural way you go find a girl. But, a lot was harmless, just for company. Oh, that was a great old life on them. We had a good time, really. The fishing finished just after the war when they sort of fished the herring out. The drifter, he'd fish a drift net down to about 10 feet. But the trawler, he'd trawl along the bottom. They dredge up everything, big fish, little fish. Now they're all gone. Greed at the bottom of everything. I always want that little bit more.
13, are you? Oh, well. I was running about here taking interest when I was a little bit younger than you. I learned to swim out there when I was 11. Oh, that was clean in those days. There wasn't all this filth about. And I wanted to come up here by myself, as a gang of boys used to come. We used to strip off against the wall and leave our clothes, run across the Ron, which was ever so much further than this, right out to the creek, what was there where you see the creek. Yeah. If you get an old map, you'll be able to see the creek, and where we learned to swim. Then when we came out, because we had to run across the mud flats ever so far, got all mud on our feet, we used to go over the wall, and there was a dike over there then, a nice clean dike. You all sat along the edge and washed their feet, and come back to clothes and dress.
In a way, the river's moving this way.
The change is always changing, all through the years, and I'm still as fascinated as ever.
Good evening, welcome to the old Salisbury
This exciting moment has arrived. The World Champion Ferret Challenge. 1, 2, 3, go! The World Champion Ferret Sam has taken the first race, just trying to extract Clive from the tube, who seems unwilling to emerge. Come on, Clive, you can do it.
Hello there, you all right?
How you doing?
Not too bad.
Lovely.
Lovely walk today, is it?
I enjoyed it.
No? Catch you later on then.
Yeah.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
William, who do you live with?
Nobody. Just himself.
Who used to live with you?
Mother and father and brothers. And that's all we had there.
And then what happened?
Well, they all died. All died. I never thought I was going to be like this on my own now.
Do you sometimes have a day when you don't talk to anybody?
I thought more than a day. I thought a fortnight. Sometimes I speak to the milkman. And when he come in out his money, I put his money on there, and I speak to him about fortnight. And after that, yes. But, you know, it's always you're doing something all the time, you know. But when you ain't doing anything, it come back on you.
Charlie, tell me what happened to these houses during the Second World War.
All these years,
Yeah.
the chimney pots.
Yeah,
See that? That one there, different to all these others.
yeah.
Well, when the bombs dropped, I dropped on that house there, and I rushed out. The debris was still falling down from the bomb, so, well, of course, naturally, I was laying in there. As soon as that bang, I went out, didn't I? But they were ordinary houses till this was bombed. policeman was standing on the doorstep, well, it blew into pieces. His coat finished up on my chimney, which they thought was mine, because mine was hanging up in that cupboard then, when they were looking. And all they found, as far as they said, was the love of his ear. That's the only thing they buried of him. Yeah. There were 17, as I say, killed here. I pulled several people. See, I pulled them out first because they were shrieking. Got them out, and in the meantime, they were saying, "Oh, they were all killed down there," and I see the bodies lay there, and when I looked at, my weavers, doing my weavers, but that time to go to work. This boy, chap who's coming up here now, that was his sister that was killed. Yeah. His sister was killed. Lovely girl. Yeah. You forget these things.
Great Yarmouth was very heavily bombed, and once again boys were plucked from Century Road and taken off to war. Jack Spaulding, an apprentice bricklayer, was called up by the 2nd Essex Regiment.
Quite a lot of people say to me, "We don't see you on Armistice Day." I don't have to go to Cenotaph on Armistice Day, I say, because I think about this every day of the week.
Well, the battalion was all under strength, and they were all old soldiers, and I understand a lot of them. Just before the war, tramps used to go in the army for the winter and come out after about 6 months. Well, of course, when the war came on, that was it. They couldn't get out no more. So what did they do? Being in that battalion quite some time, they made them up, didn't they? Sergeants and corporals. Well, of course, they couldn't care less.
At 12:30 p.m. on the 6th of June 1944, Jack's regiment landed in France, 2.5 hours late and on the wrong beach.
The Yanks were just pushing us off the boats, shoving us into the sea up to there. Of course, they were so afraid they'd go aground. With the tide falling, they would go aground. They were pushing us into the sea, and that was it. And of course, we sort of walked up the beaches, and then we attacked this wood, and somehow or other, I fell right back. And this sergeant, he said, "Right, if you don't get up the front," he said, "I'll put a shot into you." Was up the front I went. Well, just after that, bang, something went up, and up in the air I went, like that, and down I came. And there was a big scream, and they all cleared off. They ran. They called for stretcher bearers, but the stretcher bearers had gone. They all retreated, and they just left me there. I just laid there. Must have been 2 or 3 good days. And I was just about gone because I could remember my mother about the age of 3, and I had a green knitted leggings and jumper on. And I remember her, that all came back to me, lifted me on the table. Yeah. I thought I was on the way out, I suppose, because I'd lost quite a bit of blood naturally.
Jack was eventually rescued after lying alone and wounded for 4 days. He remained in hospital for over a year.
You get the dream where you're calling for help and things like that, and there's no help there. You see, all sort of things like that.
When's the last time you had this dream?
Well, I had one about a fortnight ago, to be honest. About a fortnight ago, and that was... Once again, I was still trying to find my regiment. I suppose, really, that sort of stopped. That when they all got up and screamed and ran off, and just left me there.
I'm only going as far as the post office now. Get the pension.
Dick Harvey volunteered for the Royal Norfolk Regiment in June 1940 and was sent to a special unit.
It's distressing, isn't it?
I know it's upsetting, but she'd like you to tell her so they can record it.
It's forgotten.
No, it's not best forgotten. We must never forget it, and the children must never forget it, because what was it all for if it's forgotten? You'd been on the fastest run-up in English history, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Right through the Low Countries. And
Fastest advance in the history of the British Army, that was. The war just about folded, you know. My pal and I, we'd been on a truck, and I said, what's it, a holiday camp or something? Holiday camp, no, he says, one of those, we were about the first British soldiers to go down there. That was a horror camp, well, terrible. There was a row of huts 90 foot long on the left, guard rooms and that, you know, and each hut had collections of clothes, like women's clothes, hair and all that sort of thing, teeth, and
boots and shoes.
Boots and shoes in another hut. Our army boys had to take you do at it at first. They had a petrol-driven bulldozer, we call them now, with a big shovel on the front. And these diggers were coming up with their bodies in the shovel pit. And we felt bad because you couldn't do nothing. And they had farmers' trucks. They come up with all these corpses on. Cool. But that was how they disposed of them, you see. Used to put them all in this. There was about 30 or 40 in the end of this big one. And they covered them with lime and all that sort of stuff, you know. And then the digger come along and buried them all up. Jerry didn't believe that was going on. The British military government people got all army trucks and loaded everybody up, the entire population, loaded them up like sheep and driven down to the camp and marched them all around and made them believe. Then they made them take and put all working clothes on, and they did all the digging and burying and carting them down to the graves.
This is the local townspeople.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible, it was. Yeah, it's terrible.
And he came
with us all the way. Oh, he went home,
and he was that upset about it all, and that sort of thing.
Didn't speak
that
about it for months, ages.
2 or 3 days before he went back, he couldn't stop crying, and he said, "I don't know if they send me back there again, I don't think I shall come home anymore."
Did he used to have bad dreams when he first came back?
Yes. George VI on there.
Dreadful. He used to dream a lot, and he used to grind his teeth and swear and that sort of thing, and really be, you know, tense, didn't you? What teeth? He said. Well, you had some teeth then. I was 23 and you were 25, weren't you, when we were married? And you see, not long, 6 months after, Dick was in the army. So that was our 20s gone. You know, 7 years of your life, you can say,
Just wasted.
which were good years which you should have had, you didn't have.
I was a nurse midwife.
And did you deliver a lot of people around here?
Oh, quite a number. I think most houses, not many, that I didn't deliver them. There's nothing more wonderful than to hear a newborn baby cry. First cry. And I love the feet. When they're feeding, they're so happy, their little toes go up and down, they go, and their little feet go up and down. Good thing. Yes.
But you never had children yourself?
No, I never had any family, no. As I said, I left it a bit like this. Well, you can't have everything in life. And we still often say, some are meant to have the babies, others are meant to catch them. So I think I must have been one of the girls that was meant to catch them. Good morning.
Sneeve, we called her then. Oh yes, she was top of the pop, she was. Doctors and everyone jumped when she spoke. Bossy, fussy little character, and wasn't no way, and she had her. And nobody opposed her.
Well, I know they said I was fussy. Well, I had to be fussy. I was very fussy and I was very strict.
She delivered my 2 boys. They were both born in this house. She came over and she said, oh, you'll have to go for a walk. She made you cook the dinner and keep active until the last minute. Because it was going to be my birthday the next day. And I said, oh, it's my birthday. Perhaps I'll have the baby on my birthday. She said, no, you won't. You're going to have the baby today. And I did.
Some of the wives used to say, oh, nurse, I don't want him in. They came in, but I said, if you faint, you fall on the floor, you'll have to lay there, because I can't see you, I'm seeing you once.
She delivered me and several of my brothers and sisters. Counting myself, that's 11 of us. She's come round on a little bike. She's had a basket on the front with a bag of stuff, whatever it was, you know. And, right, Mr. Villiard, away you go, out you go. Get the hot water ready. And she's going in my mum's bedroom, you know. And we all used to be sitting downstairs, all waiting to see what we got, a girl or a boy, you know. Oh, yeah, we're all her babies. The one who she delivered were all her babies, yeah.
Every baby, that was the first thing you think. Now, I hope we give a good yell. Here we are. And some of them have been yelling ever since.
I was expecting another baby, so the midwife had to come. When I opened the door, her face was blue and her coat was blue. I said, I said, do come in. You look so cold. I said, take your coat off and sit near the fire. I'll soon make you a cup of tea.
Oh, poor old thing.
And we've been friends ever since.
Any rate, there we are, Joyce. What have we been up to?
Thanks very much. Okay. But it was okay yesterday at the hospital.
Oh,
so that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye. Goodbye.
This was round about 5:30, and it was the 31st of January, if I remember. It was nearly dark, and I could hear a sound, and there were a lot of people standing looking at the river, and it was covered with foam, and it was rushing up, and you could hear the wind, you know, sort of shrieking along, and the windows were rattling so much, and my mother said, oh, I shall never sleep with all this noise.
And a friend of mine came along and she said, just tell them sometimes we have a drain flood and that looks like there's one at the end of the road. If they get the carpet up and the furniture, they'll at least save it getting wet. Well, off he went.
It was 4 minutes past 9.
Yes. You must tell this part because I wasn't with you.
When I came through the passage, I saw on the right a mountain of water coming.
The water was coming here, it came in a little trickle. And when we went, then the water was also coming in the back as well. And before you could, well, I suppose in say Jack Robinson, more or less, the whole place was flooded.
On the 31st of January 1953, wind and high tides drove the North Sea over the protecting dikes and across the flatlands of East Anglia. 307 people drowned and 35,000 had to flee their homes. Century Road was evacuated and Anna Ward, its very first resident, died of shock.
By then all the lights had gone.
9:29. So we were told at 4 minutes past 9, and at 9:29 lights went out.
I'll tell you what, now... But I saw some terrible sights. Lovely dogs I used to pat in the morning. See the owners left them chained up. They were drowned. Well, I nearly cried, honestly.
The strange thing was, we had an old chiffonier in those days, something like a sideboard, you know. And all the cups and the things had been washed out of the chiffonier, and the cups were going round just like little ducks all the way round.
Ducks? I've never seen so many ducks in all my life. Thousands. Quack, quack, quack. We were the only ones that won't be big-headed about it. The rest got my 4 pigs, poor little things. When I got where the door to let them in and out, their 4 little heads were sticking over the top. God, I was pleased.
Father lit the fire in the front bedroom, which had never had a fire up before or since. And there were police in a little rowing boat came along in the Sunday afternoon, you know, and threw us up candles, and we sort of hung out, you know, like, we sort of hung out the window and managed to catch the candles. Of course, it was horrible when it eventually went out. Oh, it was awful smell and thick mud everywhere. It was dreadful.
Keep young and beautiful, it's your duty to be beautiful. Keep young and beautiful, if you want to be loved. Take care of all your charms, you'll forever be in someone's arms. Keep young and beautiful, if you want to be loved. We've been together now since I was 15 and Dick was 17. And we've been married 58 years. So that's a lifetime, isn't it?
Joyce and Dick and the other couples on Century Road were all brought up within a few hundred yards of where they still live.
I was cycling to school and my husband was going the other way to work on his bicycle. And I was a little bit of a saucy young lady and I turned round and waved. I thought he looked just the sort of young man I would like. Had ups and downs with family, had heartaches one way and another, but that's life, isn't it?
But has your love got stronger over the years?
Oh yes, it's different. It's not that heart flutter. Mind you, still make my heart flutter if I see him coming towards me when I'm out.
How long did it take before you had a kiss or anything like that?
Oh, I don't know.
Not that.
Well, not that long, I suppose, really. Was that after a year, I suppose?
Just telephone.
Tell me again about the best love affair you ever had.
Oh, the police inspector's daughter, I think. I even married her, but I was frightened if I found her. Bloody great chap. I was only about 18. Oh, I don't know. No, that was a nice little girl. Little pale. Should have married her. But I used to go with her sister. And she died with the same as my wife. Brain hemorrhage, isn't that funny?
She was about 15 and I was about 17 now. And then we kept going ever since.
And did you really fall in love with her when you first met her?
Well, that's a question. What do you call love?
I don't know. What do you call it?
It's sort of attraction, I suppose. Yeah, it's attraction is there. You miss them when they're not there and you want to be with them all the time. Yeah, I suppose you could say love at first sight. I was always outside, never indoors. I'm always indoors now and never out. Yeah. She had 3 strokes. And just after Christmas they discovered she'd got cancer, so we're just sort of waiting and hoping. That's why I didn't leave her.
I can honestly say, with all sincerity, that this last 6 or 7 years since I've known Henry, I've been very happy. He's totally different to what my husband was.
We met in the community centre and talked to each other on the street.
Ever since then we've been friends.
Oh, have we? Oh, good. I'm oh so pleased you said that.
But you scrap a bit, don't you?
No, we argue and that.
No, we don't agree.
No, well, see, I think we're 2 different castes of people. See, and I'm more what I call rough and ready.
Oh.
Well, of course, see, we've had 2 different lives. We have our arguments like other people, and he'd go home and sulk. And he phones me the next day. Are you alone? Can I come round?
I don't.
Have you had your tea? And he comes round. He's all right then.
Can I put these away now, for goodness sake?
toing and froing. We now bring the water and the wine and the wafers.
What keeps you going?
Well, really my belief in God and the church and all that goes with it.
Hello. How are you?
That'll be nervous
How are
today,
you?
are you?
How are you? All right?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
Good. You'll have... Has Henry been yet?
No,
have you seen Henry?
no, not
Oh,
seen
you only
him.
live round there. He'll be here in a minute.
I expect Ali told you that Mr. Harris made that stand.
Did he?
Yes, and the remembrance table there.
How many people used to come?
Between 150, I think, 100 and 150.
And plenty in the Sunday school as well?
Yes, yes. They used to have morning prayer, and then they used to file in the children.
Now it's down to just a few.
A few of us, yes. Around about 14 to 16. Is it a shame, isn't it? The carpet came from my house. I've been here since I was 5-year-old, and I'm 73 now.
Yo.
It was bombed, it was flooded, and as the people all rebuilt it up again, didn't we?
They paid 600 brick.
Sixpence a brick to build it up.
Hello, my dears. Hello, Jax.
Hello.
You suddenly realise you're very lined and wrinkled. And that sort of comes on you all at once, you know.
When you look in the mirror, does it surprise you?
Oh, no. Oh, dear. The dew flap or the dewlap is what annoys me.
What's that?
It's here. A friend I worked with, she was going to have hers taken away. Yes, really, she got to have cosmetic surgery. And she went to Norwich and saw the specialist, and he asked her many questions, you know, would she really be quite happy? And that was going to cost quite a lot of money, £2,000, I think. I said, well, I wouldn't spend them. No, I wouldn't. I said, say something goes wrong. You never know, do you? And so instead of having this taken away, you get more, you know.
Oh yes, we got a feed in the